Hi, I'm Graham and welcome back to Man vs Film. This is going to be a top 10 of movies that you can watch right now on Amazon Prime US for the month of September 2018. So let's get started. Number 10, Frequency. A rare atmospheric phenomenon allows New York firefighter to communicate with his son 30 years in the future via ham radio. The son uses his opportunity to warn the father of his impending death in a warehouse fire and manages to save his life. However, what he does not realise is that changing history has triggered a set of new tragic events, including the murder of his mother. The two men must now work together 30 years apart to find the murderer before he strikes so that they can change history again. Dennis Quaid and Jim Caviezel star in this really high concept but fun movie that is really one of these thrillers that just keeps you entertained. We have these two characters related and differentiated by a time span of 30 years trying to get to the one goal. It's convoluted, like I said, it's a high concept, but it's immeasurably fun and with some great performances. And Dennis Quaid, one of the great actors that I always enjoy watching, is just effortless to watch here yet again. Number 9, Stir of Echoes. A man is hypnotised at a party by his sister-in-law. He soon has visions and dreams of a ghost of a girl. Trying to avoid this nearly pushes him to the brink of his sanity as the ghost wants something from him, to find out how she died. The only way he can get his life back is by finding out the truth behind her death. The more he digs, the more he lets her in. The shocking truth behind her death puts his whole family in danger. Kevin Bacon stars as the lead role as this man who is obsessed, who doesn't believe in ghosts or supernatural entities, but because of this hypnotist awakens something in him that allows that to speak to him, and he becomes obsessed. There is nothing else in his life other than figuring out what the hell happened, and he starts to dig holes in his back garden. Wary, but hopeful that he's going to find something at the same time. It's a murder mystery, it is a supernatural tale, it's fantastic, and it's one of these movies that gets lost in time and never really talked about, but it really is worth searching out and watching. Number 8, Fled. Dodge is a computer hacker serving a prison term. Piper is a tough guy. They end up chained together and flee during a chain gang escape attempt that goes bad. An adventure plot ensues involving a missing floppy disk, an attractive woman that assists him, a sinister federal marshal, an honest cop, and the Cuban mafia. A kind of riff on the Defiant Ones, this is a movie that I have seen far too many times. It's not a great movie. It is a generic movie starring a Baldwin and Lawrence Fishburne and Salma Hayek as well. These two guys are on the run, they're trying to get to some information. There is a whole lot of convoluted plot behind that and subplots going on with various people after various people. But it's one of these movies that I just enjoy watching. I've watched it ever since it came out, and even though I know it's just not that great, it does entertain me and gives me what I'm looking for in a movie. It's a mindless entertainment when I'm not looking to be too taxed by a movie. Number 7, Get Shorty. Some guys get all the luck, whether they like it or not. Chili Palmer happens to be in Hollywood collecting a gambling debt when he is struck by lightning. Not literally. Called a natural for the movie business, he is snagged up by a producer, and the rest will be history. Directed by Barry Sonnenfeld and based on the Elmore Leonard novel, John Travolta stars as Chili Palmer, the man in this effortlessly cool world who seems to have the answers for everything, who is kind of easing through life and just solving all these mysteries while delving into things that he is personally fascinated with, which is the movie business. He discovers a script and he's trying to get the movie made. The Get Shorty of the title is played by Danny DeVito. He is a big actor who they want to get for the role, and Rene Russo is in this as his love interest and producer as well. It's a fun movie, draws you in, it's captivating, it's fun, it's effortless, it is oh so cool, and it's just a great film. Number 6, The Blair Witch Project. 3 film students travel to Maryland to make a student film about a local urban legend, the Blair Witch. The 3 went into the woods on a 2-day hike to find the Blair Witch and never came back. 1 year later, the students' film and video were found in the woods. The footage was compiled and made into a movie, The Blair Witch Project. It wasn't the first, but it is the grandfather of the found footage movie, and it is rightfully so because it is a terrifying tale. If you were around when this movie came out, it was everywhere, and it wasn't deemed to be a movie straight away. It was fascinating how it was released as though these people actually went missing. The movie itself is really interestingly made, and it is a horror movie that gets under your skin because of the atmosphere of dread and tension that it builds up as these characters slowly start to lose their grasp on sanity throughout the movie. If you haven't seen Blair Witch Project, it may not be as powerful as it was back when it first came out, but it's definitely worth watching, checking out, definitely more so than the Blair Witch that came out a year or two ago. Number 5, Black Mask. A former test subject of a project to create super soldiers is forced to escape with his comrades after the project was cancelled. Months later, he is trying to have a quiet life as a librarian with a tough cop as his best friend. However, a string of vicious gangland murders begins that has all the markings of his former compatriots who seem to have turned to violent crime. Realising that the police are helpless to fight these soldiers, decides to take them on himself. Jet Li stars in Black Mask, and it's one of those action movies from the 90s that gives you a host of action set pieces, each one more fantastical, each one more jaw-dropping than the one that came before. It is high energy, it is kinetic, it is fast-paced, it is exciting, and it's just a terrific watch. If you haven't seen Black Mask, now is time to check it out. Number 4, Flight of the Navigator. A 12-year-old boy goes missing in 1978 only to reappear once more in 1986. In the 8 years that have passed, he hasn't aged. It is no coincidence that at the time he comes back, a flying saucer is found entangled in power lines. Flight of the Navigator is one of those movies that I watched a lot when I was younger, but then I didn't really go back to it. And I was terrified that I was going to discover a movie that just didn't hold up to my childhood memories. But this one thankfully does. It still is endearing, it's fantastic, it gives me the characters, the humour, the situations, the cool looking spaceship that I remember and loved. It's one of those whimsical movies that has a great plot, super interesting, and it's just one that I now go back to often, and I just love it. It brings a lot of nostalgia for me as well, which is a big part to play in it. But if you've never seen Flight of the Navigator and you watch it, I would love to know what you thought of it now, coming to it this many years after it was first made. Number 3 is Jacob's Ladder. Jacob Singer is trying to make sense of his fractured life and memories. Plagued by hallucinations, flashbacks and conspiracies, he struggles down a path of enlightenment from these manic strains. With nothing but support from friends and loved ones, will he be able to push through the haze of his PTSD? Tim Robbins stars as Jacob in this movie that has some of the most haunting hallucinations I have ever seen. They are terrifying. The idea of the PTSD taking hold of this soldier is horrifying as he just kind of bumbles around the city trying to escape everything that is closing in on him. I don't want to tell you too much about Jacob's Ladder because I feel it's a movie that should be seen, and it should be seen knowing as little as possible. And trust me, it's really worth your time. Number 2, Mother. Amidst a wild, flat meadow encircled by a lush forest, a couple have cocooned themselves in a secluded mansion that was not so long ago burned to the ground, devotedly restored by the supportive wife. Darren Aronofsky's movie was one of these films that left me conflicted with what I had just saw. It is one of those movies that just kind of washes over you, and even though you may not get it straight away, it's one that you will eventually tick over in your head and come to understand what the filmmaker was trying. Whether he succeeds or not is up to the individual viewer. For me, it kind of left me feeling a little bit cold, a little bit shell-shocked, and I think that was the idea behind this movie. I don't want to tell you what it's all about. I think it's worth searching out. It's definitely worth checking out. Whether you like it or not, I think it's an important piece of filmmaking. Number 1, The Usual Suspects. Following a truck hijacked in New York, 5 conmen are arrested and brought together for questioning. As none of them are guilty, they plan a revenge operation against the police. The operation goes well, but then the influence of a legendary mastermind criminal called Kaiser Soze is felt. It becomes clear that each one of them has wronged Soze at some point and must pay back now. The Usual Suspects is one of my top 10 favourite movies of all time. It is so masterfully shot, put together. It is an exciting crime thriller that when I got to the end of it, I immediately went back to the start and watched it again because it was just so shocking, encapsulating a really rich mystery that just I did not see coming. And even watching it now, knowing the mystery, it just still feels fantastically fresh and engaging. This is a story full of really rich characters, really nasty characters, really fun set pieces, some cool editing, really nice music, and a story a story that is oh so fantastic to watch play out. I absolutely love The Usual Suspects, and I recommend, if you haven't seen it, that you have to watch this movie this month and let me know what you think of it. So there we go, the top 10 movies to watch on Amazon Prime US for the month of September 2018. I hope you find something there that you want to watch or something that has sparked interest in you, and let me know in the comment box below what you thought of it, and I'd love to know if there are any suggestions to make it onto my list next month. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time on Man vs Film.